Cool. Thanks, Pablo. I'm Josh Mao. I'm a UX engineer here at Niantic and Eighth Wall. And today, like Pablo said, I'm going to be going over some of our AR functionality using Niantic Studio. And I use he, him pronouns. So I'm going to share my desktop here. This is going to be a really just scrappy workshop. No slides. Personally, I always like these workshops just because focus on building. Let me hide my Zoom controls. Great. Okay, so I'm gonna start at Google. We're gonna go to the Eighth Wall website. My Zoom controls are glitching out. Okay, cool. That was weird. We're gonna start just on the project library. As Pablo mentioned, I'm gonna be going over world effects and face effects today, building off of our templates that are in the project library. So we're gonna start with world effects. You're just gonna click on this cacti project. If you used Eighth Wall before, you might be familiar with this as our tap play sample project. We've just ported it over to Studio. We're just gonna clone this project here, select your desired workspace. You usually only see one workspace here, or maybe two. We're just gonna name this workshop world effects. And then license, feel free to select whatever aside from commercial, unless you're building a commercial project. Just wait for it to clone. Give it a second. Cool. So this is going to be what you see right when you clone this project. There's going to be a singular cactus in the middle of your screen, along with the familiar Studio UI. You have your hierarchy on the left here, your file browser on the bottom left, and then your settings and inspector on the right. So first, without doing anything, I'm just gonna play this project as is using our simulator. If you don't know, the simulator is used to simulate XR experiences directly within the browser here, so you don't have to go outside or like go on your phone and test. So you have a cacti tracking in world space by default, and when you click, you can spawn cacti of different sizes with a fun little scale animation. So it's in a pretty good state already. If you want, you can just swap out this asset, which I will show how to do. But all the functionality and some of the components are in there already. And how this is working is when Ian showed off the just Studio last week, he didn't enable XR. And the only you have to do to enable that is go to the camera, go to the type, and instead of having 3D only, you select world if you want world effects / slam tracking, or you go to face if you want face effects. In this case, I've selected world effects. You can also select how you want the experience to be played on different devices. On the phone, it's AR right now. On the desktop, you can only do 3D. And then we're not supporting headsets at the moment, but we are working on it, and hopefully we'll get it out sometime in the future. And yeah, I think that's everything you need to do is to enable world effects. Anything you put in the scene here will automatically track like in front of your camera, essentially. So you don't have to like parent anything to make it track. So the first thing we do is we're gonna try to swap out this cactus. Maybe you don't like cacti, or maybe I don't like cacti. Maybe I've had like an incident in the past where I like fell into a colony of cacti and I'm like traumatized. So we're gonna delete this cactus. And I have another asset in here that's just a piano. And so we have this lovely piano. It is below ground, so I'm going to drag it up to just about where it's on the ground. Go over here. One thing I forgot to mention is that tap place functionality is done using this tap place component we have that I wrote in the project. This workshop's not going to be too technical, but Essentially, you can look at the code um, in the tap place TypeScript file if you want, but essentially it creates a raycast where your mouse clicks or where your finger clicks, and then it loops through. Since we don't have like a duplicate method yet, it loops through all the possible components and like figure out what components are on the original model. And that lets you duplicate the like cacti or the piano when you click. So when I do have the piano here, the only thing I need to change is what entity to spawn. So instead of the cacti, I can select the piano now. And the piano is a little bigger than the cacti, so I'm going to tune down the range of the scale. So like 1 and 2.75. We can build it. Success. We're going to play it in the simulator. And cool, we have a piano now that you can spawn. It's looking a little unrealistic here. It's because I haven't added shadows on it yet. So if we go back here, we go to the piano model, we go new component, lighting, shadow, and we want to just cast shadows. We can see it in the viewport already. And once we build and save, says build. And there we go. We got shadows working. Looks like it's a little weird on the further objects. Well, I'll check that out later. But yeah, usually if you add shadows, then it should work as is. Also in the simulator, I'm using the sidewalk clip by default. It's one of my favorites, but you can also choose like a walking one to simulate what it'd be like to sort of like walk and have slam tracking. We have one where it just leaves. You can even change your location to like an indoor lounge. Ooh, like jazz piano bar vibes. It's kind of cool. Um, cool. All right. So this piano is great, but now I'm bored of it. So I'm gonna delete the piano and let's get something a little more active, maybe add some animation in Slam. So we're just gonna go to poly pizza, which is the website I like to use for low poly objects. And we're gonna just search for animated. Like I said, I'm trying to do this as ground up as possible so that when you're developing your own experiences, you can just use the same workflow. Let's see here. Okay, there's a cow or this robo dude. This robo dude looks interesting. Does he have any animations? I don't think he does. It usually plays if there's animation on it. What about the soldier? Here we go. Okay, so this guy has some anime. He has a lot of animations. Um, this jumping one's pretty funny. Whoa, this one's like he's floating. Okay, cool. Let's download this guy. I'm getting too caught up in his animations. So we're just gonna download it, GLB, the web file format, and it's gonna appear here in your downloads folder. You're gonna go back to the project, and it's gonna be as easy as dragging it from your downloads folder into the file browser here. And there we go. We have your character. If you click on it, you can see the character. He's only 1.27 megabytes, which is really nice, really small. Cool. And then we can just drag him into the scene. Looking good. Transforms are all 0, which is good. And he's standing on the ground. And this time I'm going to make sure to add that shadow component. Looking good. And cool. If we build right now, play. Let's give it a second. Let's reload the simulator. I'm gonna just restart it here. Go back to the sidewalk. Oh, that's not good. Oh, you know what? That's great. There's I forgot to add this guy to the tap place component, and so it's erroring and doesn't like that. So you have to remember to spawn in the character soldier, because I had the piano in here and then I deleted it. So well, now we have a guy. He's facing the wrong way, but you just look at this guy. Cool. Good to know. So let's have him be rotated 180 instead. And then I want some and oh, that's the ground. It's not the guy. Let's go back to the guy. 80. And then we have to save and build to see the changes, but I also want some animations. So let's see. I think I like the which one was it? Was it the jump? Jump high, maybe? Jump idle? No. I think we'll do the jump land first. So we just have an animation clip dropper here where you can select which one you want. I want the jump land one, and we can build and save, turn our camera around. This is cool. This is like this is a gun with a knife. That's not sure how usable that is, but that's cool. We're gonna play in the simulator. Give it a second. There we go. Now he's jumping and he's doing great. And now you can have a bunch of dudes jumping. And this is only a simple animation, but you could think of more complex animations that you bake in a third-party 3D software like Blender or Cinema 4D or Nuke or something like that. And you can create more complex and, you know, visually interesting things other than just a guy jumping. But I think this is pretty funny already. I'm just gonna experiment and play one more animation here. Let's see what we can do. We can do idle, maybe we can have him floating. He's jumping really fast. Just no, shake his hand. Punch, run, run, gun, wave. Okay, I like wave. Let's do wave. So we're gonna go to animation clip. We're gonna select wave, build. And save that. And there we go. We got a little guy waving at you. I think that's pretty cool. Make sure to wave back, be polite. So yeah, that's mostly the no code stuff for the world effects. Obviously, if you want to add more interaction, like I did with the tap place, or add logic, like putting buttons or pressing buttons, or like actually like game mechanics or having like a joystick to make this guy run around and switch between animations. That will all require code that sort of follows the same cloud editor thing we had, where you can create your own custom component, and like any custom components you create will automatically appear in our custom components dropdown. I only have the tap place component here right now. And yeah, Pablo, I think it'd be better if we did like Q&A specific to world effects right after this, if that sounds good to you, and then we can go on to face effects.
Definitely. Yeah. So we have a question from Rodrigo actually, and it's can casting a shadow or receiving a shadow be made into default, or does it have to be toggled on each time? And then there's a follow-up question, but let's start by answering that.
Okay. If I'm understanding correctly, we don't automatically add a shadow component to your model when you import it, but once you add it, it stays persistent throughout your whole project, so you don't have to like toggle this on and off each time you save and build. Yeah, I don't know if I interpreted that correctly, but yeah, we don't add this automatically. That could be nice. That could be a nice thing to think about. But yeah.
I can add on to that. I saw you asked like what exactly would be a use case for not casting a shadow if the scene is in daytime. So this is a similar approach to A-frame in Three.js where shadows just aren't enabled by default. You do have to specify which entity is casting the shadow and which entity is receiving the shadow. So for example, you could have multiple horizontal planes, one that has an occluder material and one that is the shadow receiver. So you do have to specify which entities are casting and receiving the shadows, and that's why they are like this manual toggle.
Yeah, Evan brings up a good point that I forgot to touch. We have this ground plane here that's actually catching the shadows, and we have a special shadow material that you can use on objects that catch shadows. Oh, this is cool. So the color you make your plane is what color your shadow is. I think it's black by default or like gray or something. So this way it's invisible, but it still catches the shadows, which gives off the illusion that the shadow is on the ground when you play in AR. Any other questions, Pablo?
Yeah, we have a question from Jana. Is there another template for geospatial AR, or is there an add-on to world effect template?
Is there a geospatial template for AR? Not yet. We are working on getting VPS working in Studio. I think it's a highly awaited feature by many people, including me. For now, you'll have to still use our editor and the geospatial browser there to do more geospecific or geolocation-based experiences.
Copy that. And then I think the next question from Victoria might be something that you can answer when you jump into the face effect stuff. But the question is, can I work with the material of 3D objects that I uploaded? For example, I uploaded glasses. How can I make the glass material transparent?
Yeah, that's a really good question too. Short answer, yes, with some work. Long answer, so primitives, we have like this material selector by default. So like our ground is a plane that's a primitive. And then if I add like a sphere into here, what's a sphere? There we go. We can have like a material picker and stuff. I believe we're working on getting this also there for like models and GLBs and stuff. It is a little more complex because models can have more than one material. So we're like building that system out. However, in the meantime, uh, these are all like we do have our own API, but it's also built on a lot of Three.js infrastructure. So you can definitely reach below the surface in code. It is a bit technical, but you can reach below and swap out the material procedurally. And I have an example of that in our face effects demo where I built a hider material and I can like expand on that a bit more.
Yeah, Evan also added in a link there that I'll move from the Q&A to the chat for everyone if there's more curiosity to that as well. Awesome. All right, we have one more question from Duan. Can I publish and test my AR app build in a Niantic VPS 3D scan environment viewer versus the sidewalk space? So I think the question is, can you change the simulator and the video that's there?
Yes, another great question. Also a highly requested feature, and I'd love for it to be here as well. Um, you know, no promises, but I'd love to see it launch along with VPS and Studio. I think that would be a great feature to have. Um, you can't do that currently. We've been hearing the requests for it, and we're aware, and we are working on it. But right now, you just have your. I mean, we do have quite a few clips in here already with a lot of different permutations. Um, but also since VPS doesn't work in Studio currently, I don't think there's a need for as big of a need for custom sequences as if like maybe VPS was in Studio, but we didn't have that. I think that would be a little more pressing. But yeah, short answer, it's coming.
All righty, cool. I think we're good to move on to face effects.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that was world effects. I'm just gonna go back to Google and go back to 8th wall. Go back to the project library. And this time we're just gonna select the face effects sample project. We're gonna clone it. Select the workspace, Faithful team, and I'll say workshop face effects demo. Great. For that glasses question earlier, it reminds me of what we did in this project where we actually made it so you could actually change the transparency of these glasses with the GUI. So I will also talk about that. But before that, this is our default face effects projects with some 3D glasses. This is sort of our visualized face mesh, which I am super grateful for, because in the code editor, when you didn't have this, it was like making these micro adjustments and then like testing it every time, and it just took so long to iterate. But now you can just see where you're placing objects, and it's super fast and super fluid. So how to enable face effects? Same thing with world effects. You go to the camera, and instead of 3D only or world, you're going to select face for the type, and you can select what type of experience you want on mobile and desktop. And we have all of the basic attributes you might be familiar with from editor, including mirror display, which I think we want on. I'll see. But you can also turn on certain geometry like the iris and mouth, or if you want ears, you can click enable ears. By default, it's off. So I'm just going to build and play it as is. Hit play. I might have to take off my glasses. I don't want double glasses here. So by default, it's going to be the sidewalk sequence, but you can just click on the drop down and go to face. Sort of like the head motion one. And cool. So we have some tattoos here on the face, and also she's wearing those glasses. And another feature of the simulator, which is more important for face effects, is our live camera option here. It's on the bottom right. If we just hit it, it's going to switch the custom sequence into my face now. So you're not bad. I don't have to take it. It hides my glasses pretty well. So you can see yourself and test it out. And currently it is not mirrored. So let's see if mirror display works. Let's turn that on. Build. Mirror display just helps the camera mimic the movements of your face instead of the reverse way. It's not as obvious when you're the viewer, but when you're developing, it can be a bit disorienting. Cool. So it's following my face now, and it's great. We're gonna go back to Ava because I don't want to move my neck around too much. So we have our lovely Ava here, and you're like, I don't like 3D glasses. They're not very stylish. They're not very in anymore. So what we can do is we can select the lenses here, and change the color from the picker. And so maybe I want some like yellow. It's too green. Some yellow. It's good yellow. And yellow and purple. Let's do that. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. And if you're curious how we did this, because I just mentioned we couldn't change colors on like GLB models easily. Essentially, we have this frame that's a GLB, so without these lenses. And so we've sort of cut them out in like Blender probably. And then the children are these two planes that are primitives, but positioned in a way that they look like the lenses of the glasses. So that's something you could definitely do if you're using like rectangular lenses, for example. So we're going to save and build. Play in the simulator, and whatever last clip you chose in the simulator will persist which is nice because it'd be annoying to switch every time. But yeah, cool. Ava has these really stylish looking yellow and purple glasses now. I think they look pretty cool. Cool. So let's get a little more complex now. I know I just said they were stylish, but you know, it's last year now or last second now. So we're gonna delete these and get something even better. We're gonna go back to poly.pizza. And then let's search for like, I don't know, we'll just do glasses and see what pops up. These are really cool. I've used them in past workshops, but maybe we can do something else today. Ooh, what about like a monocle? Yes. Okay, this won't have physics, so it won't be like as good, but it's still cool. So I'm gonna try it. All right, so we have a monocle. I'm gonna drag it into our assets library here. We're gonna drag this in. Oh, it's huge. Okay. So I'm just using WER as shortcuts to change whether I want to scale, rotate, or transform an object. You also notice in face, we have this face object. Whatever objects that are not under this face object or are children of this face object will not be tracked on the face, unlike world effects, where you didn't have to do anything special. If you delete it accidentally, like here, like oops, oh no, delete it. You can always do Control Z, but if you want to, maybe if you lost that sort of clipboard feature, you can always add a new face from our primitive picker, and boom, you have your face back. I like to add a face mesh. That's going to be used for like tattoos in the future. And then, well, actually, no, let's get rid of this face mesh for now. And for the glasses, we have attachment points on the face that you can use to attach different objects. For glasses or eye-related things, I like to use the nose bridge. And how you add one is you click the add attachment points, and all of the possible points will pop up in the viewport. And originally we used this one, which is the nose bridge for the glasses, but I'm thinking for the monocle, it might be better to actually just use like the eye itself. I don't want to use the eyeball because it's going to track the eyeball and the monocle is going to move, which is kind of weird. It's like the monocle stuck to the eyeball. So we're going to use the corner of the eye, which will not move. So left eye, outer corner. And you're going to see this attachment point pop up in the hierarchy. And we're just going to drag the monocle under as a child of that attachment point. And once we've done that, I'm going to zero out all of these parameters. Cool. And we're going to move it so that it looks right around the eye. It's too far. For those of you that have used editor, this is like so much better. And each one of these adjustments would have taken me like one test build, which is so much time. Cool. So that looks pretty good. I think it's a little small actually. We're gonna make it a little bigger. Yeah, it's time. Time's okay. Okay, yeah. Cool. If we have a little more time, I can show you how to make this like transparent actually. I think that'd be even cooler. But for now, we're just gonna save and build. Positionally, it looks pretty good. It's building. Play. Oh, okay, so it's tracking good, but it looks like it's a little bit off. Slightly. So what we can do here, if we don't want to like close the simulator here, like it might be hard to adjust it without seeing what it looks like on the face. What we can do is go to play mode, live sync here. Live sync just syncs any adjustments I make in the simulator, like live. If I move it, that syncs it. But right now changes aren't persistent. So if I click save edits, now these changes will carry over to my project even after I close live sync. Okay, so that's looking a lot better. Let's pause her head so it's not moving. And looking good, looking good. And then it's still a little bit small. I think monocles are like, honestly, I've never seen someone wear a monocle like in real life, so it's everyone's first time here. And I feel like it's not supposed to hang in the middle of your face. So maybe this is actually a right eye monocle. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna shift it all the way over to right eye. And yeah, that looks good, I think. We're gonna play it. Cool. It's looking good. There's like a little bit of drift. Just slightly. But overall it looks pretty good. We can always make it bigger if we want. Honestly, okay, let's search for someone wearing a monocle. I don't know how big they're supposed to be. Okay, I think we got the right size. It's like under the eyebrow. Okay. Cool. So we got a monocle in here now. Pretty cool. Let's see, what should I show off next? Should I show off if we have time, I'm gonna circle back and show you how to make this transparent. But for now, I want to get into tattoos for a second, and how to do skin-based textures and stuff like that. If you notice, by default, we had sort of tattoos on her face, and those can't as easily be done with 3D models because they're sort of tracked to your skin and are like parallel to your skin texture. And how we can enable those, let me just hide monocle for now, is by using the face mesh I was talking about earlier. The face mesh creates a copy of this face silhouette mask thing here, and that's how you can use to attach the UVs onto your face mask. And because we don't want the face mask to be here, if I just save and build here, you'll see what I mean. I've just added one face mesh here, and I believe it's going to cover the face. So obviously, if you want like a mask or something, you would use just the face mask and then like change the texture here or something. But since we want to do something transparent like a tattoo, what we can do is in the color here, instead of having a color, we can select, sorry, not the color, in the opacity here. So this would be your alpha channel. We have an alpha map by default called the soft eyes mouth something. Maybe we should rename it to alpha map. But this masks out everything on the face, so that you can attach an overlay over it, essentially making the face a transparent background. So we're going to save and build here. We're going to play. And okay. So it did mask out the mouth. And because we have a color here right now and not an image, it's still looking like it's a mask. But right as we put in some sort of texture for this, it's going to be invisible. Let's change that to red. So let's see, what kind of tattoo do we want? Let's just do a Niantic tattoo. And we can find this one. I think it's transparent. Cool. Logo. And unfortunately for like UV stuff, it's not as easy as just dragging it in and on the face. Maybe it could be that easy in the future. What you have to do is we provide the UVs for the face under textures in the sample project. You can either choose a black version or a bright version. I like the bright one because there's more contrast and it's easier to see. What you can do is just download it from the asset viewer here. Take it into your preferred image editing software. Could be Figma, like me. Could be Photoshop, could be Illustrator, Canva even maybe. So when you drag in the photo, it's really important to not change the dimensions of this photo, the 1024 by 1024, like not to crop it or anything, because that's what we use to UV map. So if you do crop it or resize it, it's gonna mess up how the UVs are mapped to the face. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna frame this so that it's like in a confined box, and we have the image as the background, and we can drag in the Niantic. It's not the Niantic logo. We can drag in the Niantic logo. Wonderful. It's transparent, and let's just put it. Let's have two. We'll put them on your cheeks. It's kind of cute. So we'll have your Niantic. You can just place them on the face where they're supposed to go. You have to do a little imagination because this is like an unwrapped version of your face. So it's gonna be a bit more narrow once it does fold onto the face. And yeah, it's as easy as just dragging it onto the face, and then make sure to like hide or like delete your UV stencil, but maintain the dimensions of it. So we're gonna export this image here. We'll call it like Niantic 2. And great, I have this Niantic Tech 2 texture now. We're gonna drag to textures or just anywhere in the asset viewer. Looks like this, looks great. And right on the face mesh here, we can select the texture now. So Niantic Tech 2. And let's see, maybe what, I don't know if that matters. Well, let's build. Wait. Cool. So now they appear on the cheeks. You can put whatever design you want here. You can add like a flat image and then use like an attachment point to create like 3D particle effects on it to just make it a bit more spatial. You can use this to do face paint. You can use this technique to wear masks like I showed off earlier. You can use this technique to, what else can you do? Maybe do like Joker makeup, like makeup. Like I made a makeup try-on experience using this technique before by just duplicating the face mesh. Yeah, so very versatile, just a different way of using face effects. Cool. Okay, so on to the next thing. So we're not gonna get to the monocle just yet. I want to show off how to wear hats in the face effects shelter. So it's not as simple as you would think. So let's just get a hat here to show off. Just gonna delete the face mesh. Let's do, I don't know, frog hat. I like frog hat. We're gonna download this. GLB. Drag into the assets. Oh, we have frog hat. Okay, so it's rotated wrong. We're gonna rotate it 90. It looks funny. We're gonna scale it up. Looking good. So you don't have to use attachment point if you don't want to. I definitely don't want it under the left eye. As long as it's under the face object, it's gonna track against the face. So for something like a hat, I'm just gonna leave it here and position it like this. That looks good. And cool. So we're just gonna build and save here. It's gonna look a little weird, but I will explain why it looks weird and how we can fix it. Actually, it doesn't look as weird as other hats because it's like the same color. But what we're not doing is we're not doing any occlusion for the back of the hat here. So you can kind of like see through the hat, making it look like photoshopped or like green screen on top of the person. And what we can do to resolve that is we have a head occluder in the models folder here that you can drag onto the scene. Make sure it's under your face object, like the hat is. And I'm just gonna zero this out. You're gonna want to like rotate it 180 on the y-axis. I think I guess 180. No, 1800. And you want to match this occluder to your face. Honestly, after this workshop, I might just include this by default since we have hider material working already. Cool. So it's about there. And we don't want this object to like show up in our face effects. We just want it to act as an invisible occluder. And so in the project, I have this hider material component, which we just made actually like yesterday. So this essentially creates a new 3JS component, or not component, sorry, 3JS material, and then we, where's that code? Here we go. It's just a mesh standard material, and then we make color right false so that you can't see it visually, but it still includes 3D objects in the render order. And then we procedurally grab the GLTF model, and then we swap out the material. So to the question that was asking how you can swap out materials on models, this is how you would do it. You can reference this component for sure, just to see how you would do that in other use cases. But in our use case, you can just select the occluder, select a new component, just say the hider material, and then select the occluder as the target entity. Now that we have that, we can slide the hat down a bit more. It's honestly a bit small still, so let's make it bigger. Slide it down. Cool, that looks good. Maybe too big. Okay, that looks good. Okay, build and save. Play it. Cool. Now it's gonna be occluding the back of the head. Maybe not. Maybe it's not occluding. Maybe it's because it might have to be above what you want to occlude. So we're gonna move it above on the parent here. We'll see if that helps. Let's click play. Okay, I think it's might be working now. Oh, it's just the hat is like really far forward. So let's move the hat back a bit. Huh, looks like it. I don't think it is occluded. Let's see what's wrong here. Super fit. Any errors? Live debugging is always fun. Let's go to the occluder here. Head occluder, head occluder. Should be working. Maybe it's something to do with this GLB. Okay, well, I don't want to take up too much time on debugging because we want some time for questions. But I'll look into it. It was working with like primitives at least, so maybe something to do with GLBs aren't working with the hider material. For example, if we have a a sphere in here and make it like red, still too big. Put it under the face here. Okay. So if we have a sphere here instead of the hat, save and build. Success. So cool. Yeah. So it is working with primitives at the very least. Where if I move this sphere behind the head, you can't see it anymore. Or if I move it in front of the face, you can see it. So I'm going to look into why it's not working for GLBs. But in the meantime, if you want to make any animations with the sphere, where maybe you want the sphere to like orbit the head or something, this is what you would use the occluder for. Anything else? Yeah, I think that's a good run through of all of our various features. Time for questions, I think, Pablo.
Yeah, so Victoria had a question, which I'm thinking you just answered, which is how can I make an occluder material for the head? Will it be available in the future?
Yep. So hiding material, it's a good thing we found this bug with GLB, so I'm going to look into that, but we should update it, or it should be updated soon on our sample project.